Billionaire hires his shy maid for his sister's wedding. He never expected what happened after. "I need you to pretend to be my girlfriend." Mia froze with the dust rag in her hand. Her heart pounded so loud she thought everyone in the big house could hear it. She looked up at him, standing there in his expensive suit, his blue eyes looking straight at her. This was Alexander Stone, the billionaire who owned this beautiful mansion, her boss, the man she cleaned for every single day. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Her throat felt tight, like someone was squeezing it. "I know this sounds crazy," Alexander said, running his hand through his dark hair. He looked worried, something she had never seen before. His usual calm face was gone. Now he looked almost scared. "But my sister is getting married this weekend. My whole family will be there, and they keep asking me why I don't have anyone special in my life." Mia's hands shook so much that the dust rag fell to the floor. She bent down to pick it up, her mind spinning with a million questions. Why was he asking her? Why not one of those beautiful women she sometimes saw in magazines, the ones with perfect hair and fancy clothes? "Mr. Stone, I'm just your maid. I clean your house. Why would you want me to?" "Because you're different," he said. His voice was softer now, almost gentle. He took a step closer, and Mia could smell his cologne. It smelled like the forest after rain. "You're kind, you're real, and I trust you. Everyone else I know just wants my money, but you never asked me for anything. You just do your job, and you're always nice, even when I'm grumpy." Mia felt her cheeks get hot. She had worked in this mansion for 2 years. Every day she came in quietly through the back door, cleaned the rooms, and tried not to bother him. Sometimes she would see him sitting alone in the big living room, looking sad, staring out the window at the garden she worked so hard to keep beautiful. She wanted to say something nice, but she was too shy. She was just the maid. He was a billionaire. They lived in different worlds, but she had noticed things about him too. How he always said thank you, even for small things. How he left her little bonuses in envelopes with notes that said, "For your excellent work." How his eyes looked tired and lonely, like he carried a heavy weight on his shoulders. "I'll pay you extra," Alexander said quickly. His words came out fast, like he was afraid she would say no. "A lot extra. Enough to help your mom with her medical bills. I know things have been hard for your family." Mia's heart dropped to her stomach. How did he know about Mom? She never talked about her problems at work. She always smiled and did her job, keeping her troubles locked inside her heart. But he was right. Mom was sick, very sick. The bills were piling up on the kitchen table at home, turning into a mountain they couldn't climb. Dad worked 2 jobs, but it still wasn't enough. Her little brother Tommy needed new shoes for school because his old ones had holes in them. They needed the money so badly it hurt. "Just one weekend," Alexander said, his voice almost begging now. She had never heard him beg for anything. "Just come to the wedding with me, smile, hold my hand. Let my family think I'm happy. Then on Monday, everything goes back to normal. You can say yes or no. I won't be mad either way, I promise." Mia looked down at her worn shoes. Her uniform was old and had small stains that never came out, no matter how hard she scrubbed them in her tiny apartment sink. She thought about Mom lying in that hospital bed, looking so small and weak. She thought about Dad's tired face when he came home late at night, his shoulders bent from carrying heavy boxes all day. She thought about Tommy's sad eyes when she told him they couldn't buy new shoes yet. Her heart said this was wrong. You can't pretend to be someone you're not. But her head said, think of your family. Think of Mom. "Okay," she whispered. The word came out so soft she wasn't sure he heard it. "I'll do it." Alexander's whole face changed. Relief washed over him like water. "Really? Thank you, Mia. You don't know how much this means to me. I promise I'll take care of everything. You won't have to worry about anything." After he left the room, Mia sat down on the floor, her legs too shaky to stand. What had she just agreed to? How could she, shy little Mia, who could barely talk to strangers, pretend to be the girlfriend of a billionaire? This was going to be a disaster. Before we continue, let us know in the comment section, what time is it and where are you watching from? And remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the story. Now let's continue. That Friday evening, a long black car came to pick up Mia from her tiny apartment. The building looked even more run down than usual next to that shiny car. Her neighbors peeked out their windows, whispering and pointing. Mrs. Chen from upstairs even came out on her balcony to stare. Mia climbed in carefully, afraid she might break something. She had never been in such a fancy car before. The seats were soft like butter and smelled like expensive leather. The driver, a kind-looking older man, opened the door for her and smiled warmly. "Good evening, Miss Bernard. Mr. Stone is waiting for you." She felt like a princess in a fairy tale, but she was so nervous her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She twisted them together in her lap, trying to make them be still. What if she said something stupid? What if his family didn't like her? What if they could tell she was just pretending? When the car stopped in front of a beautiful building, she saw Alexander waiting outside. But he wasn't alone. There was an older woman with him, wearing a pretty dress and holding several shopping bags with fancy names on them. "Mia, this is Patricia," Alexander said with a gentle smile. "She's going to help you get ready for the wedding." "Get ready?" Mia asked, confused. "But I brought my best dress." She looked down at the shopping bag in her hand. It held the only nice dress she owned, a simple blue one she wore to church. Patricia smiled warmly, her eyes crinkling at the corners. "Come on, dear. Let's make you shine like the star you are." For the next 3 hours, Mia felt like she was in a dream. Patricia took her to a fancy room filled with dresses in every color. There were more dresses here than Mia had seen in her whole life. Patricia helped her try on beautiful dresses until they found the perfect one. It was soft pink, like the roses in Alexander's garden that Mia watered every morning. The fabric felt like clouds against her skin. It fit her perfectly and made her look like someone from a movie. Then Patricia did her hair, gently brushing it until it shined. She curled it with a warm iron, making soft waves that fell down Mia's back. She pinned some pieces up with sparkly clips that caught the light. Then she put makeup on Mia's face, but not too much, just enough to make her brown eyes look bright and her smile look warm. Her hands were so gentle that Mia felt herself relaxing. "You have beautiful bone structure, dear," Patricia said, dabbing something soft on Mia's cheeks. "And your eyes, they're so full of kindness. That's a beauty that no makeup can create." When Mia looked in the mirror, she couldn't believe what she saw. The girl looking back at her didn't look like a maid anymore. She looked confident, beautiful, like someone who belonged at a fancy wedding. Tears filled her eyes. "Hey now, no crying," Patricia said softly, handing her a tissue. "You'll mess up your makeup, but I understand. Sometimes we forget how beautiful we really are until someone helps us see it." "Thank you," Mia whispered. "I've never felt pretty before." Patricia squeezed her shoulder. "Well, you are, inside and out. Don't let anyone tell you different." When Mia walked out, Alexander was waiting in the hallway. He was looking at his phone, but when he heard her footsteps, he looked up. His mouth dropped open. The phone almost fell from his hand. He stared at her for a long moment without saying anything, and Mia felt her heart beating faster and faster. "Wow," he finally said. His voice sounded strange, almost breathless. "Mia, you look amazing, absolutely stunning." She felt her cheeks turn red again. "Thank you, Mr. Stone. Patricia worked really hard." "Please," he said softly, walking closer. "This weekend, call me Alexander. We're supposed to be together, remember?" He offered his arm to her. "Shall we?" The wedding reception was at a huge hotel in the city. The building was so tall, it seemed to touch the clouds. When they walked inside, Mia felt like everyone was staring at her. The room was enormous, bigger than her whole apartment building. It was full of rich people wearing expensive clothes and shiny jewelry. Women wore diamonds that sparkled like stars. Men wore watches that probably cost more than her family made in a year. Crystal lights hung from the ceiling like frozen waterfalls. White roses covered every table, filling the air with their sweet smell. Music played softly in the background, something classical that sounded like it belonged in a palace. Mia wanted to run away and hide. This was too much. She didn't belong here. Alexander must have felt her trembling because he held her hand tighter. His hand was warm and strong. "It's okay," he whispered, leaning close so only she could hear. "I'm right here with you. Just breathe. You're doing perfect." Then a beautiful woman in a white dress ran up to them. "Alex!" she shouted happily. She hugged him tight, then turned to look at Mia. Her eyes went wide with surprise. "Oh my goodness, who is this?" "Emma, this is Mia," Alexander said, smiling at his sister. His voice sounded so proud. "My girlfriend." Emma's eyes went even wider. "Girlfriend? Alex? You never told me you were seeing someone." She grabbed Mia's hands, her face lighting up with pure joy. "It's so nice to meet you. I'm Emma, his sister. Oh, this is wonderful. Alex has been alone for so long. I was worried about him." "It's nice to meet you too," Mia said quietly. Emma seemed so sweet and genuine that some of Mia's nervousness melted away. "You're so pretty," Emma said, looking at her closely. "And you seem so sweet. Not like those awful women he used to date. They were all so fake and snobby. How did you two meet?" Mia looked at Alexander, panic rising in her chest. They never talked about this part. What was she supposed to say? But Alexander didn't miss a beat. "She works at my house. I saw her every day and I couldn't help falling for her. She's the kindest person I've ever met." The way he said it sounded so real. His voice was soft and full of emotion. Mia almost believed it herself. For a second, she forgot this was all pretend. Emma's eyes filled with happy tears. "That's so romantic. Oh, I'm so glad you came. This makes my wedding day even more special, knowing my big brother finally found someone who makes him smile again." The rest of the evening flew by in a blur. Mia met Alexander's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Stone. They were tall and elegant, and at first they looked at Mia with surprise. But then Mrs. Stone smiled warmly and said, "It's lovely to meet you, dear. You have a kind face." Mr. Stone shook her hand firmly and said, "Anyone who can make my son smile like that is welcome in our family." She met his cousins and aunts and uncles. Everyone asked her questions and she tried her best to answer them without saying something stupid. Alexander stayed by her side the whole time, holding her hand, putting his arm around her waist, making sure she always had something to drink. Every time someone new approached, he would introduce her proudly. Every time she looked nervous, he would squeeze her hand gently. During dinner, they sat together at a big round table covered with a white cloth. The food was the fanciest Mia had ever seen. There were more forks and spoons than she knew what to do with. She wasn't sure which one to use for what, but Alexander quietly showed her, touching her hand lightly and pointing to the right one. He was so gentle about it, making sure no one else noticed her confusion. "Thank you," she whispered to him. "For what?" he whispered back, his breath warm on her ear. "For being nice to me, for not making me feel dumb." His face got serious. He turned to look right at her. "Mia, you're not dumb. Don't ever think that. You're smart and brave. Being here tonight, doing this for me, that takes real courage. Most people couldn't do what you're doing right now." When the music started, couples began dancing on a big floor in the middle of the room. Mia's heart started racing again. She didn't know how to dance like these people. She had never been to a fancy party before. "May I have this dance?" Alexander asked, standing up and offering his hand like a prince in a storybook. "I don't know how," she admitted, feeling embarrassed. Her cheeks burned hot. "I'll teach you," he said softly. "Just follow me. I promise I won't let you fall. Trust me." On the dance floor, he put one hand on her waist and held her other hand. He held her like she was made of glass, precious and delicate. "Just look at me," he said. "Don't worry about anyone else. Forget they're even here, just you and me." As they swayed to the music, something strange happened. Mia forgot about everyone watching. She looked into Alexander's blue eyes, and for a moment, it didn't feel like pretending. It felt real. The way he looked at her, the way he held her close but gentle, the small smile on his face. Her heart did a funny flip in her chest. "You're doing great," he said softly. "This is all so crazy," she said. "Yesterday, I was cleaning your kitchen. Now I'm dancing at a wedding in a beautiful dress. I feel like Cinderella." "Do you like it?" he asked. "The dress, the dancing, all of this?" "I love it," she admitted. "But it's not real. On Monday, I go back to being just the maid. This is all pretend, like playing dress up." Something changed in his eyes. They got darker, more intense. He opened his mouth like he wanted to say something important, but then Emma grabbed the microphone on the stage. "I want to thank everyone for coming to celebrate with us," Emma said happily into the microphone. Her voice filled the whole room. "And I want to give a special shout out to my brother Alex and his beautiful girlfriend Mia. Alex, I never thought I'd see the day when you'd bring someone to meet the family. Mia must be very special." Everyone clapped and looked at them, hundreds of eyes staring. Mia wanted to disappear into the floor, but Alexander squeezed her hand 3 times, like a secret code that said, "You're okay." But then something scary happened. An older woman with cold eyes approached their table. She wore too many diamonds and her lips were pressed together in a thin line. "Alexander, dear," she said in a voice like ice, "I don't believe I've met your companion." "Aunt Margaret, this is Mia," Alexander said, his voice suddenly protective. Aunt Margaret looked Mia up and down like she was judging a piece of meat. "How charming. And what does your family do, dear?" Mia's throat went dry. "My father works in a warehouse, and my mother, she's sick right now." "I see," Aunt Margaret said with a fake smile. "How quaint." She turned to Alexander. "She's not exactly what we expected for you, darling. I hope you're being careful." Mia felt tears burning behind her eyes. She knew what the woman meant. She thought Mia was after Alexander's money, that she wasn't good enough for him, but Alexander stood up, his face angry. "Aunt Margaret, Mia is the most genuine person I've ever met. She's worth 10 of anyone else in this room. If you can't be respectful, perhaps you should find another table." Aunt Margaret's face went red. She turned and walked away in a huff. Mia was shaking. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have come. I don't belong here." "Stop," Alexander said firmly but gently. He cupped her face in his hands, making her look at him. "Don't listen to her. She's a bitter old woman who thinks money makes you better than other people. It doesn't. You belong here just as much as anyone else. More, actually, because you're real." Later that night, when they were alone in the car driving back, Alexander was quiet. Mia looked out the window at the city lights, watching them blur past like stars. She felt exhausted and confused and strangely sad. The night had been like a beautiful dream, but now reality was coming back. "I'm sorry about Aunt Margaret," Alexander finally said. "My family can be a lot sometimes." "No, they were nice," Mia said. "Your sister is really sweet. She loves you so much. I can see it in her eyes." "She does," he agreed. "She always worried about me being alone. Ever since my last relationship ended. Now she thinks I'm happy." "Are you?" Mia asked, then immediately wished she hadn't. "I'm sorry. That's not my business. I shouldn't have asked." "No, it's okay," Alexander said. He looked at her with those blue eyes, and in the dim light of the car, they looked almost sad. "I've been alone for a long time, Mia. After my last relationship ended badly, I stopped trusting people. She only wanted my money. When I lost some of it in a bad business deal, she left me without even saying goodbye. After that, I thought everyone just wanted my money. But tonight, dancing with you, talking with you, I felt happy, really happy. Not pretend happy." Mia's heart was beating so fast she thought it might jump out of her chest. "Mr. Stone." "Alexander," he corrected gently. "Alexander," she said, her voice shaking. "I'm just a maid. After this weekend, we go back to how things were. You're a billionaire. I'm nobody. We're from different worlds." "You're not nobody," he said firmly, almost angrily. "Mia, these past 2 years, you've been the brightest part of my days. When I come home stressed from work, seeing you there, humming while you arrange flowers, it makes everything better. I've watched you care for my home like it was your own. I've seen how kind you are to everyone, even when you think no one's watching. I've seen you leave food for the stray cat in the garden. I've heard you singing softly while you work. You bring light into that big, lonely house." Tears filled Mia's eyes. "You noticed me. All this time, I thought you barely knew I existed." "How could I not?" he said softly. His voice was full of emotion. "You leave little notes when you replace things, sweet notes that say, 'Bought fresh milk today,' with a smiley face. You put my favorite books where I can find them easily. You open the curtains in the morning because you know I like the sunlight. You're thoughtful and caring. That's not just a maid. That's someone special. Someone I've been too scared to admit I care about. The car stopped in front of Mia's apartment building. It looked so small and run down compared to his mansion. Paint was peeling off the walls. The front steps had cracks in them. "Tomorrow is the actual wedding ceremony," Alexander said quietly. "Will you come with me? I know I only asked for this weekend, but I'd really like you to be there. Please." Mia nodded, unable to speak. Words were stuck in her throat, tangled up with all her confusing feelings. She got out of the car and ran upstairs to her apartment, her beautiful dress swishing around her legs. When she closed the door behind her, she leaned against it and let the tears fall. Happy tears, confused tears, scared tears. What was happening to her heart? The wedding ceremony the next day was even more beautiful than the party. It was outside in a huge garden filled with white flowers of every kind. Roses, lilies, orchids. The sun was shining bright and warm. Birds were singing in the trees. A string quartet played soft music that sounded like heaven. Emma looked like a real princess in her wedding dress, all white and sparkly. Mia sat next to Alexander in white chairs set up in rows. She watched Emma say her vows to her new husband. The words were about love and trust and being together forever, through good times and bad times. Mia glanced at Alexander and saw him watching her instead of his sister. His eyes were intense, full of something she couldn't name. When their eyes met, he didn't look away. Her breath caught in her throat. After the ceremony, everyone threw flower petals as Emma and her new husband walked by, laughing and kissing. Everyone was so happy. Love was in the air, thick and sweet like honey. "Mia, can we talk?" Alexander asked suddenly, taking her hand. "Somewhere private? I need to tell you something important." He led her away from the crowd to a quiet corner of the garden. There was a small bench under a big oak tree. Flower petals covered the ground like pink and white snow. They sat down together, and Mia could hear her heart pounding in her ears. "I need to tell you something," Alexander said. He looked nervous, which was strange because he was always so confident and sure of himself. This weekend was supposed to be fake, pretend, just for show. But Mia, it didn't feel fake to me, not even a little bit. Being with you felt more real than anything I've experienced in years, maybe ever. "What are you saying?" Mia whispered. Her hands were shaking in her lap. "I'm saying I have feelings for you," he said, looking right into her eyes. "Real feelings, deep feelings. I know this sounds crazy. I know we're from different worlds. But I don't care about any of that. I don't care what Aunt Margaret or anyone else thinks. I care about you, the real you. Not because you're my maid, but because you're you. You're kind and gentle and real, and you make me want to be better." Mia's heart felt like it might burst right out of her chest. "I have feelings for you too," she admitted, the words spilling out before she could stop them. "But I'm scared, Alexander, so scared. What will people think? Your family, your friends, your business partners. They'll all say I'm just after your money, that I'm using you, that I'm not good enough for you." "Let them think whatever they want," Alexander said passionately. "I know the truth. You never asked me for anything, even when you needed help. Even now, you're worried about what other people think instead of what you could get from me. That's exactly how I know you're different. That's exactly how I know this is real. When I look at you, I don't see a maid. I see the woman who makes me smile. The woman who brings light into my lonely life." "But what about work?" Mia asked, trying to be practical, even though her heart was singing. "I can't be your girlfriend and your maid. That's too weird. People will talk even more." Alexander smiled, really smiled, and it made him look younger. "Then quit being my maid. Be my girlfriend instead." "Just my girlfriend. I'll help you find another job if you want to work. Or you can go to school. You told me once, months ago, that you wanted to study interior design. I remember because your face lit up when you talked about it. I can help with that. Not because you're with me, but because you deserve the chance to follow your dreams." "That's too much," Mia said, shaking her head hard. "I can't accept all that. It's too much money. I'd feel like I was using you." "Why not?" Alexander asked, taking both her hands in his. "Mia, I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. More money than anyone needs. Let me use it for something that actually matters. You matter. Your dreams matter. Your happiness matters to me more than anything. Please give us a chance. Give me a chance to show you this is real. That my feelings are real. Mia looked at him, this powerful man who could have anyone in the world. But he chose her. Her heart told her to say yes, to jump into his arms and never let go. Her brain told her this was too good to be true, that it would never work. But maybe, just maybe, fairy tales could happen to regular girls like her. Okay, she said, her voice barely a whisper. Yes, let's try. I'm terrified, but yes. Alexander's face lit up with the biggest smile she'd ever seen. Pure joy radiated from him. He took her hands in his and squeezed them tight. Really? You mean it? You're not just saying it? I mean it, she said, smiling through her tears. I'm scared. I'm so scared. But I want this. I want you. I want to see where this goes. He pulled her close and hugged her tight, wrapping his arms around her like he would never let go. Mia closed her eyes and let herself feel safe in his arms. She breathed in his smell, felt his heart beating against hers. This wasn't pretend anymore. This was real as anything she'd ever felt. 6 months later, Mia stood in front of a mirror in her new apartment. Well, it was their apartment now. She and Alexander moved in together 3 months ago. It was smaller than his mansion, but he said he wanted them to build a life together that was theirs, not just his. Something they created together. She finished getting ready, putting on simple jeans and a soft sweater. She didn't wear fancy dresses every day anymore. She was just Mia again, but happier, so much happier. She walked into the living room where Alexander was waiting. He was reading a book, something he did more often now. He said being with her made him slow down and enjoy simple things. Things he used to rush past. Ready for dinner? He asked, standing up and putting the book down. Ready, she said. They went to a small restaurant in the neighborhood. Nothing fancy, just good food and nice people who knew their names. This was their life now. Sometimes they went to fancy parties because of his work, but most nights they were just like this, normal, happy, together. I got a call from Emma today, Alexander said as they ate pasta. She and her husband are expecting a baby. That's wonderful, Mia said excitedly. She must be so happy. When is she due? She is, and she said it's partly because of you. She said seeing me find love gave her the courage to start a family. She wanted me to thank you for making me happy again. Mia felt warm inside, like sunshine was filling her chest. That's so sweet. I love Emma. Alexander reached across the table and took her hand. I want to thank you too, for taking a chance on me, for seeing past the money in the mansion and just seeing me, the real me. You changed my life, Mia. You made me remember how to be happy. You changed mine too, she said softly. I never thought someone like you could love someone like me. I still can't believe this is real sometimes. Someone like you, Alexander said, raising an eyebrow playfully. You mean someone smart, kind, beautiful, brave, and genuine? Yeah, I'm real lucky I found you first before someone else did. Mia laughed, the sound bright and happy. He always knew how to make her feel special, even on ordinary days. That night, they walked home holding hands under the stars. The city was quiet, peaceful. Mia thought about how much her life had changed in just 6 months. She was going to school now, studying interior design like she always dreamed. Mom's medical bills were paid off because Alexander helped, even though Mia tried to refuse at first. She was getting better, stronger every day. Her little brother Tommy had new shoes and a mentor who helped him with homework. Dad didn't have to work 2 jobs anymore. He smiled more now, looked younger. But the best part wasn't any of that. The best part was this feeling in her chest every time she looked at Alexander. Love, real love, the kind Emma talked about at her wedding, the kind that wasn't about money or status or what anyone else thought, just 2 people who chose each other every single day. What are you thinking about? Alexander asked as they reached their building. Just how crazy this all is, Mia said. A year ago, I was just your shy maid, afraid to even look at you. Now look at us, living together, in love, going to school. It's like a dream. Alexander stopped walking and turned to face her. He cupped her face in his hands, his touch gentle. You were never just anything, Mia. You were always special. I was just too blind and scared to see it at first. But I see it now. I see you. All of you. And I love every single part. I love you too, she whispered, her eyes filling with happy tears. He kissed her softly, there under the streetlight, with the whole world around them, but feeling like they were the only two people who existed in that moment. When they got inside their apartment, Alexander seemed nervous about something. He kept checking his phone and looking at the door. His hands were shaking a little, and he couldn't sit still. Is everything okay? Mia asked, starting to worry. Did something happen at work? Yeah, I need to ask you something. He took a deep breath, like he was about to jump off a cliff. Then he got down on one knee. Mia's hands flew to her mouth. What are you doing? Mia, I know we've only been together for 6 months. Some people might say it's too fast, too soon. But I've never been more sure of anything in my life. He pulled out a small velvet box from his pocket and opened it. Inside was the most beautiful ring Mia had ever seen. Simple, elegant, perfect. A single diamond that caught the light. Will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life making you happy? Will you be my forever? Tears poured down Mia's face, hot and fast. Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes. 1,000,000 times yes. Alexander stood up, his own eyes wet with tears, and put the ring on her finger. It fit perfectly, like it was made just for her. Then he picked her up and spun her around, both of them laughing and crying at the same time. Pure joy filled the room. I can't believe this is real, Mia said when he finally put her down. Sometimes I still think I'm going to wake up and still be the shy maid cleaning your kitchen, and all of this will have been just a beautiful dream. It's real, Alexander said, holding her close. This is our real life, our real love, and it's going to be real forever. I promise you that. 1 year later, Mia stood in a garden full of flowers wearing a white dress. Not as fancy as Emma's had been, but perfect for her, simple and beautiful. Her dad walked beside her down the aisle, tears streaming down his weathered face. Mom sat in the front row, healthy and strong now, crying happy tears into a tissue. Her little brother Tommy was the ring bearer, looking so proud and important in his little suit. And at the end of the aisle stood Alexander, looking at her like she was the only person in the world. His eyes were wet with tears he wasn't even trying to hide. His smile was so big and bright it could light up the whole sky. As she walked toward him, Mia thought about everything that happened. How one crazy request changed everything. How pretending to be his girlfriend at a wedding turned into real love. How being just a maid didn't matter at all because love didn't care about jobs or money or status or what other people thought. Love just cared about hearts finding each other. When she reached Alexander, he took her hands and they were shaking. You're beautiful, he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. The most beautiful thing I've ever seen. So are you, she whispered back, and she meant it. He was beautiful to her in every way. They said their vows in front of everyone they loved. They promised to care for each other, to trust each other, to choose each other every single day, to love in good times and bad times, to be each other's home. And when the officiant said, "You may kiss your bride," Alexander kissed her like it was the first time and the last time and every time in between. Like she was the most precious thing in the universe. Everyone clapped and cheered. Emma was crying happy tears, holding her baby daughter. Alexander's parents were smiling proudly. Even Aunt Margaret was there, and she nodded approvingly, and Mia's family looked like they might explode from pure joy. As they walked back down the aisle together as husband and wife, Mia leaned close to Alexander. Did you ever imagine this when you asked your shy maid to pretend to be your girlfriend for one weekend? Alexander laughed, the sound full and happy. No, I never expected this. Never in a million years. But I'm so glad it happened. You're the best surprise of my life. The best thing that ever happened to me. You're mine too, Mia said, squeezing his hand. They drove away from the wedding in a car decorated with flowers and ribbons and tin cans, heading toward their honeymoon and their future together. A future filled with love and trust and happiness. A future that started with one crazy weekend and turned into forever. because sometimes the most unexpected things turn out to be exactly what we needed all along. Sometimes love finds us when we're not even looking for it. And sometimes the shy maid and the lonely billionaire find each other in the most unlikely way and realize that fairy tales really can come true. Not because of money or mansions or fancy weddings or expensive dresses, but because two hearts were brave enough to take a chance, brave enough to trust, brave enough to love. So what do you think about Mia and Alexander's story? Did you feel their love growing from pretend to real? Did you believe in their journey? Could you feel the fear and the hope and the joy? Have you ever had to be brave and take a chance on something that scared you? Sometimes the best things in life come when we step outside our comfort zone and say yes to possibilities we never imagined. Stories like this remind us that love can happen anywhere, between anyone, when we're brave enough to open our hearts and see beyond the surface. Real love doesn't care about how much money you have or what your job is. It only cares about who you are inside. If you want more beautiful, emotional stories that will make you laugh, cry, and believe in love again, don't forget to subscribe to Emotional Stories on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our next heartwarming tale. We have so many more amazing stories waiting for you, each one carefully crafted to touch your heart and remind you of the beauty and hope that exists in this world. Thank you for spending this time with us today. Thank you for opening your heart to Mia and Alexander's journey. We'll see you in the next story. Until then, keep believing in love, keep believing in happy endings, and most importantly, keep believing in yourself.